Force yourself to be consistent. Let me tell you something, my friend, success isn't a one-time event. It's not about making one big move and calling it a day. No, success is a daily commitment. It's about showing up, putting in the work, even when you don't feel like it. And that's what separates the winners from the wishers. You see, motivation is wonderful. It gets you started. It excites you. It gives you energy. But let me ask you something. What happens when the motivation runs out? What happens when you wake up one morning and you don't feel like it? That's where discipline comes in, because discipline is what keeps you going when motivation fades. I've met people who start strong. Oh, they're fired up, they're inspired, they go to the gym for a week, they read books for a month, they work on their business for a few months, but then what? They get tired. They get distracted. They let excuses slip in. And before you know it, they're back to square one, wondering why success is so hard. But success isn't hard, it's just consistent. It rewards the ones who keep going. See, the real secret isn't in the grand gestures, it's in the small daily actions. It's in the person who wakes up and does what they said they would do, whether they feel like it or not. It's in the man or woman who says, I don't care if I'm tired, I don't care if I don't feel like it, I made a commitment and I will follow through. That's the person who wins. Now, some people say, but Jim, I just don't feel motivated. Well, let me tell you the truth, you don't need motivation. You need habit, because habits don't ask how you feel. They don't ask if it's a good day or a bad day. They just get done. And when you stack those habits on top of each other day after day, something incredible happens. It's called momentum. You ever tried to push a car? At first it's tough. It barely moves. But once you get it rolling, it starts to go faster. And if you keep pushing, eventually it moves on its own. That's what consistency does for your life. At first it's tough. It's uncomfortable. But once you build the habit, once you create the momentum, success becomes automatic. But here's the key, you've got to force yourself at first. You've got to show up when you don't want to. You've got to do the work when it's inconvenient, because if you don't, you'll always be starting over. Successful people aren't the most talented. They're not the luckiest. They're just the ones who refuse to quit. They're the ones who say, I'm going to show up every single day, no matter what. And that, my friends, is the ultimate key to success. So force yourself to be consistent. You do what needs to be done today, tomorrow, and every day after that. And if you do that, success will not be a possibility, it will be a guarantee. Now go out there and make it happen. Discipline is the bridge to success. It is the quiet force that turns dreams into reality. The unwavering commitment that separates those who achieve from those who merely wish. The challenge most people face isn't a lack of talent, intelligence, or opportunity, it's the absence of discipline. They start strong, filled with motivation, ready to take on the world, but then life happens. The excitement fades, the initial fire dims, and when that moment arrives, when the energy is gone, when the feeling of motivation disappears, the only thing left is discipline. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep in. It's going to the gym when the couch is calling your name. It's sitting down to work on your goals when distractions are everywhere. Discipline doesn't ask if you're in the mood. It doesn't care how tired you are. It doesn't wait for the right conditions. It simply demands action. And those who develop it, those who cultivate it, are the ones who rise above the rest. Most people misunderstand discipline. They see it as a punishment, a burden, something that takes away their freedom. But in reality, discipline is the highest form of freedom. Because when you have discipline, you're no longer controlled by your impulses. You don't make decisions based on temporary emotions. You don't let laziness, procrastination, or fear dictate your life. You take control. You decide the direction of your life. You create your own future. Without discipline, dreams remain dreams. Without discipline, goals remain words on paper. Without discipline, potential remains unrealized. It's easy to talk about success, to visualize it, to imagine the life you want. But talking, dreaming, and wishing don't create results. Action does. And action requires discipline. Look around and you'll see countless people who start things but never finish. They sign up for gym memberships in January full of excitement only to quit by February. They begin a new business, a new project, a new habit only to abandon it the moment it gets tough. Not because they aren't capable, not because they don't have what it takes, but because they never built the discipline to persist when the initial excitement wore off. The truth is, discipline is not something you're born with, it's something you build. It's like a muscle, it grows stronger with use and weaker with neglect. Every time you make a disciplined decision, every time you follow through on what you said you would do, you strengthen that muscle. But every time you give in to excuses, every time you choose comfort over commitment, you weaken it. And over time, this determines the trajectory of your life. The most successful people in the world aren't the ones who always feel motivated. They aren't the ones who wake up every day excited and energized. No, they are the ones who have mastered discipline. They show up no matter what. They work on their goals no matter what. They keep going no matter what. And that consistency, that unwavering commitment is what creates extraordinary results. Success is not about luck. It's not about being in the right place at the right time. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about discipline. It's about waking up every day and doing what needs to be done. It's about pushing yourself even when no one is watching. It's about keeping promises to yourself. Because if you can't trust yourself to follow through, how can you expect anyone else to trust you? Discipline is the foundation of confidence. When you are disciplined, you develop self-respect. You prove to yourself that you can rely on your own word, that you are someone who follows through. And that confidence spills into every area of your life. When you know you have the discipline to do what's necessary, no obstacle feels too big, no challenge feels too difficult, no goal feels impossible. Because you know you will find a way, you will do the work, you will stay the course. But let's be honest, discipline is not easy. If it were, everyone would have it. Everyone would be successful. Everyone would be in great shape, financially secure, living their dream life. But the truth is, discipline is uncomfortable. It requires sacrifice. It requires doing things you don't always want to do. It requires saying no to short-term pleasure in exchange for long-term rewards. And that's where most people fall short. They want the rewards without the work. They want the results without the discipline. They want the success without the sacrifice. But that's not how life works. You don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. You don't get the benefits of discipline without putting in the effort. And that effort, that daily commitment, is what separates the winners from the rest. Think about the greatest athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the top performers in any field. What do they all have in common? Discipline. They practice when no one is watching. They put in the hours when no one is cheering. They stay focused when distractions are everywhere. They don't just do the work when they feel like it. They do the work because they've made a commitment. And that commitment is non-negotiable. If you want to achieve your goals, if you want to build the life you dream of, discipline must become your best friend. It must become the foundation upon which you build everything else. You can have all the talent in the world, but without discipline, it will go to waste. You can have the greatest ideas, but without discipline, they will never materialize. You can have all the ambition, but without discipline, it will never translate into success. The key is to start small. Discipline doesn't mean making extreme changes overnight. It doesn't mean trying to be perfect. It means making a commitment to small, consistent actions. It means proving to yourself day by day that you can follow through. Wake up 5 minutes earlier. You do one more push-up, read one more page, stay disciplined for one more day, because those small actions compound over time, and before you know it, you'll have built an unstoppable momentum. But here's the catch: discipline doesn't take breaks. It doesn't go on vacation. It doesn't take weekends off. The moment you start making exceptions, the moment you let yourself off the hook, is the moment you start slipping backward. That's why discipline isn't something you do occasionally, it's something you live by. Now, some people say, but I'm just not a disciplined person. Let me tell you something, no one is born disciplined. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. The first step is making a decision. A decision that you will no longer let your emotions control your actions. A decision that you will no longer break promises to yourself. A decision that you will become the kind of person who does what needs to be done no matter what. Once you make that decision, everything changes. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop relying on motivation and you start taking action, and the more action you take, the easier it becomes. The more disciplined you become, the less effort it takes. And before you know it, discipline is no longer something you force, it's something you are. The truth is, discipline isn't just about achieving success, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. It's about proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. It's about pushing past your limits, breaking through barriers, and reaching heights you never thought possible. So make the commitment today. Decide that you will develop discipline, no matter how uncomfortable, no matter how challenging, no matter how convenient. Because once you do, once you build that unshakable foundation, nothing can stop you. Success will not be a matter of if, it will be a matter of when. Don't rely on feelings, rely on habits. This is one of the greatest lessons you can ever learn, because if you only take action when you feel like it, you will never achieve your full potential. Feelings are unpredictable. One day you wake up full of energy, ready to conquer the world. The next day you feel tired, unmotivated, and the last thing you want to do is work toward your goals. And if you let that feeling dictate your actions, you'll never build the life you truly want. Success doesn't come from occasional bursts of motivation. It comes from doing what needs to be done day in and day out, no matter how you feel. Most people make the mistake of believing that successful people are constantly motivated. They think high achievers wake up every day feeling inspired, driven, and excited to work. But that's not the truth. The truth is, even the most successful people have days when they don't feel like working. They have moments of doubt, fatigue, and frustration. But what sets them apart is that they don't let those feelings control their actions. They have developed habits that override their emotions. They have built routines that ensure they stay on track, even on the days they don't feel like it. Imagine if a farmer only worked when he felt like it. Imagine if he decided not to plant seeds because he wasn't in the mood. Imagine if he skipped watering his crops because he was tired. Imagine if he ignored harvesting season because he didn't feel like it that day. What would happen? He would have nothing. His fields would be empty. His land would be wasted. His potential harvest would be lost. And that's exactly. Think of an athlete training for a championship. They don't ask themselves, do I feel like practicing today? They don't negotiate with their emotions. They don't make excuses. They train every day whether they're motivated or not. Because they understand that discipline is the key to greatness. The same principle applies to every area of life. If you want financial success, you must have the discipline to manage your money wisely even when temptations arise. If you want a strong, healthy body, you must have the discipline to exercise and eat well, even when unhealthy choices seem easier. If you want to build a successful career or business, you must have the discipline to put in the work, even when distractions try to pull you away. Most people fail because they prioritize their feelings over their commitments. They let temporary emotions dictate their long-term decisions. They say, I'm too tired today, I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow turns into next week turns into next month. And before they know it, years have passed. They are still stuck in the same place, wondering why nothing has changed. But successful people operate differently. They don't let emotions run their lives. They make a commitment and they stick to it. They take control of their actions no matter how they feel. The truth is, discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. But if you neglect it, it weakens. If you always give in to laziness, procrastination, and excuses, you train yourself to be inconsistent. You train yourself to quit when things get tough. But if you practice discipline daily, even in small ways, you build the mental strength to stay committed no matter what. Think about waking up early. If you train yourself to get out of bed at the same time every morning, even when you don't feel like it, you strengthen your discipline. If you train yourself to stick to your workout routine, even when you'd rather relax, you strengthen your discipline. If you train yourself to stay focused on your goals, even when distractions are tempting, you strengthen your discipline. And over time, discipline becomes who you are. You no longer have to force yourself, it becomes automatic. The problem is, most people associate discipline with pain. They think it's about suffering, restriction, and sacrifice. But discipline is not your enemy, it's your greatest tool for freedom. Because when you develop discipline, you gain control over your life. You are no longer a slave to your emotions. You are no longer at the mercy of distractions. You are no longer controlled by external circumstances. You become the master of your destiny. You think of a river with no banks. Without structure, the water flows everywhere with no direction. It spreads out, loses power, and becomes stagnant. But when a river has strong banks, the water gains focus. It moves with force. It cuts through obstacles. It has momentum. That's what discipline does in your life. It gives you direction. It channels your energy. It keeps you moving forward no matter what challenges come your way. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they need more motivation. They search for inspiration. They watch videos. They read books. They wait for that spark of excitement to push them into action. But motivation is fleeting. It may get you started, but it won't keep you going. What keeps you going is discipline. What keeps you going is your commitment to the process, even on the days when you don't feel like it. Discipline is what turns average people into champions. It's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. It's what allows you to keep pushing forward even when progress is slow, even when obstacles arise, even when the excitement fades. Because here's the truth, there will be days when you don't feel like showing up. There will be days when you're tired, discouraged, and tempted to quit, but discipline keeps you moving. Discipline keeps you locked into your vision. Discipline keeps you in the game when everyone else is giving up. The greatest advantage you can have in life is discipline. It doesn't require talent. It doesn't require luck. It doesn't require special circumstances. Anyone can develop discipline. Anyone can commit to showing up every day. Anyone can train themselves to stay consistent. And when you do, you separate yourself from the masses. You put yourself in the rare group of people who follow through, who keep going, who make things happen. The best part is, once you develop discipline, everything becomes easier. Success is no longer something you have to force. It becomes natural. You no longer have to rely on motivation. It becomes a habit. And that's when you truly unlock your potential. So don't wait for motivation. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start now. Commit to discipline. Build the habit of showing up every day, no matter what. Because once you master discipline, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Your future is shaped by what you do every single day. Not by what you do once in a while, not by what you do when you feel like it, but by the small, consistent actions you take every single day. The challenge is, most people don't realize this. They underestimate the power of daily effort. They think success comes from one big breakthrough, one lucky moment, one massive opportunity. But the truth is, success is built in the small, unseen moments. It's built in the decisions you make when no one is watching. It's built in the quiet hours, the daily habits, the consistent effort that adds up over time. The mistake people make is thinking that small actions don't matter. They tell themselves, it's just one workout I'm skipping, it won't make a difference. Or it's just one day of procrastination, I'll get back to it tomorrow. Or it's just one bad decision, it won't hurt in the long run. But those small decisions repeated over time determine everything, because success doesn't come from what you do occasionally, it comes from what you do repeatedly. Your daily habits either push you toward your goals or pull you away from them. There is no in between. Think of a single drop of water hitting a rock. One drop alone does nothing. It seems insignificant. But if that drop keeps falling day after day, month after month, year after year, eventually it carves through the rock. Not because it was powerful in the beginning, but because it was consistent. The same principle applies to your life. You may not see immediate results from your daily efforts, but that doesn't mean they're not making an impact. Every action you take is shaping your future, even if you can't see it yet. The problem is, most people give up too soon. They start with enthusiasm, they put in effort for a few weeks, but when they don't see instant results, they quit. They think it's not working, but success is not about speed, it's about endurance. The people who win in life are not always the fastest or the most talented. They are the ones who keep going. They are the ones who understand that results come from compounding effort over time. Look at the most successful people in any field, and they'd achieve greatness overnight. They didn't wake up one day and suddenly become experts. They built their success brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice. The greatest athletes, the top entrepreneurs, the most accomplished artists, what separates them is not just talent, but relentless consistency. They showed up every single day even when they didn't feel like it. They put in the work even when the motivation was gone. And over time, their daily efforts compounded into mastery. The key is to focus on the process, not just the results. Most people set a goal and obsess over the outcome. They want to lose weight, but they focus only on the number on the scale. They want to build a business, but they focus only on how much money they're making. And when they don't see immediate progress, they lose motivation. But the people who succeed don't just focus on the results, they focus on the habits that lead to the results. They focus on the daily actions, the small improvements, the consistent effort that builds momentum over time. Think about a tree growing. In the beginning, you see nothing. You plant the seed, you water it, you take care of it, but for a long time, there's no visible progress. But under the surface, something is happening. Roots are growing. The foundation is being built. And then one day, the tree begins to break through the soil. But it didn't grow overnight. It was the result of consistent care over time. That's exactly how success works. Most people give up when they don't see results right away. They think nothing is happening. But those who understand the power of consistency keep going. They trust the process. They know that their efforts are building something, even if they can't see it yet. The best way to ensure consistency is to make it easy to start. Too many people set goals that are too big, too overwhelming. They try to change everything at once, and when it becomes difficult, they give up. But success doesn't require giant leaps, it requires small, steady steps. If you want to get in shape, start with just 5 minutes of exercise a day. If you want to improve your finances, start by saving a small percentage of your income. If you want to read more, start with just 1 page a day. The goal is to build momentum. And once you establish a habit, you can expand it. And here's the most important part: never break the chain. Once you start a habit, commit to doing it every single day, no matter what. Even if you can only do a little, do something. Because the moment you break the chain, you lose momentum, and momentum is everything. When you have momentum, everything feels easier. You don't have to push as hard. The habit carries you forward. But when you stop, even for a short time, it becomes harder to start again. That's why successful people prioritize consistency above all else. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wake up and debate whether you feel like brushing your teeth. You just do it. It's automatic. That's how success should be. It should become part of your routine, something you do without question. When you develop that level of consistency, success becomes inevitable. Most people fail because they let their emotions dictate their actions. They wake up and ask themselves, do I feel like working today? Do I feel like going to the gym? Do I feel like making progress? And if the answer is no, they do nothing. But successful people don't ask themselves how they feel. They do what needs to be done, no matter what. They understand that feelings are temporary, but habits create permanent results. The truth is, you're always building habits. The only question is, are you building habits that move you forward or habits that hold you back? Every time you take action, you reinforce a habit. If you choose discipline today, it becomes easier to choose it tomorrow. But if you choose laziness today, it becomes easier to choose it tomorrow. The key is to be intentional, to make sure that the habits you build are aligned with the future you want. Because here's the reality: your future self is the result of what you do today. The choices you make right now are shaping the person you will become. If you consistently take action toward your goals, you will look back in a year and see massive progress. But if you consistently delay, make excuses, and put things off, a year from now, you will be in the exact same place, wondering where the time went. The greatest regret people have is not what they did, but what they didn't do. The opportunities they let pass, the goals they never pursued, the dreams they never acted on. And in most cases, it wasn't because they weren't capable. It was because they weren't consistent. They started, but they didn't keep going. They let distractions, doubts, and laziness get in the way. But you don't have to let that happen. You can make the decision right now to be consistent, to commit to daily action, to do something every single day, no matter how small, to move closer to your goals. Success is not about luck. It's not about talent. It's about consistency. It's about showing up every day, putting in the work, and trusting the process. It's about understanding that small actions repeated over time lead to massive results. And when you commit to that, there is no limit to what you can achieve. At the end of the day, success is not a mystery. It's not reserved for the lucky or the gifted. It's not about having the perfect circumstances or waiting for the right time. It's about showing up. Every single day, it's about making a decision to be consistent, no matter how you feel, no matter what challenges arise, no matter how slow progress seems. Because success is built in the small daily actions that most people overlook. It's built in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It's built in the discipline to keep going when motivation fades. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack consistency. They start strong but don't follow through. They wait for motivation instead of relying on discipline. They let setbacks stop them instead of pushing through. But those who win are the ones who refuse to quit. The ones who show up every day even when it's hard. The ones who commit to the process even when results are not immediate. The ones who understand that greatness is not achieved in a single moment, but in the relentless pursuit of progress. Your life is being shaped by the choices you make right now, not next week, not next year. Right now and every day you have a decision. Will you take a step forward or will you stay where you are? Will you build momentum or will you let inconsistency hold you back? The future is not some distant event. It's being created in this moment. If you want to change your life, don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for inspiration. You don't wait for someone else to push you. Decide today that you will be consistent. Decide today that you will take action. Decide today that you will do what needs to be done, no matter what. Because when you make that decision, when you commit fully to the process, when you refuse to quit, success is inevitable. Stay consistent, stay disciplined, and watch your life transform. What happens to people who only work toward their goals when they feel motivated? They waste opportunities. They let time slip by. They allow their potential to remain unrealized. Success is about consistency. It's about showing up no matter what. It's about developing habits that keep you moving forward regardless of how you feel. The most disciplined people in the world don't leave their success up to chance. They create systems, they build routines, they develop habits that make success inevitable. Because once something becomes a habit, it no longer requires willpower. It no longer depends on motivation. It just gets done. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wake up every morning and debate whether or not you're motivated to brush your teeth. You don't negotiate with yourself. You don't wait until you feel inspired. You just do it. It's automatic. It's a habit. And because of that, it's consistent. Now imagine if you applied that same principle to your goals. Imagine if working out, reading, learning, improving, and taking action on your dreams became as automatic as brushing your teeth. Imagine if success was no longer something you had to force yourself to do, but something that happened naturally because you built the right habits. The problem is, most people let their feelings dictate their actions. They say, I don't feel like working out today, so I'll do it tomorrow. But tomorrow comes and they still don't feel like it. And before they know it, a week has passed, then a month, then a year. And they're still in the same place wondering why their life hasn't changed. They say, I don't feel like working on my business today, so I'll start next week. But next week turns into next month and then next year, and they never start. They let their feelings talk them out of their future. But successful people don't operate that way. They understand that feelings are temporary, but habits create long-term results. They know that motivation is unreliable, but discipline is dependable. So instead of waiting until they feel like it, they take action regardless of how they feel. And over time, that action turns into habit. And that habit turns into success. The key is to remove decision-making from the process. If you leave room for negotiation, your emotions will always try to talk you out of taking action. If you wake up in the morning and ask yourself, do I feel like going to the gym today? The answer might be no. If you sit down to work on your goals and ask yourself, am I in the mood to do this right now? The answer might be no, and if you let those answers dictate your actions, you will stay stuck. That's why the most successful people don't ask themselves how they feel before taking action. They just do it. They create habits that make success automatic. Think about a professional athlete. They don't train only when they feel like it. They train every day, rain or shine, tired or energized, motivated or unmotivated. Why? Because they know that consistency is the key to greatness. They know that the body doesn't care about feelings, it responds to repeated effort. The same is true for your goals. Your bank account doesn't care how you feel, it responds to your financial habits. Your health doesn't care how you feel, it responds to your eating and exercise habits. Your success doesn't care how you feel, it responds to your work ethic and consistency. If you let your emotions dictate your actions, you'll always struggle to achieve your goals. But if you create habits that keep you on track, you'll make progress no matter what. The first few weeks of building a habit are the hardest because your brain wants to take the easy route. It wants to avoid discomfort. It wants to go back to old patterns. But if you push through that resistance, if you stay consistent, and the habit takes over. And when that happens, success becomes effortless. The best way to start is by keeping it simple. You don't try to change everything overnight. Start with one small habit. If you want to get in shape, don't commit to 2-hour workouts every day. Start by doing 10 minutes of exercise every morning. If you want to read more, don't force yourself to read a book a week. Start by reading 5 pages a day. If you want to improve your finances, don't try to save half your income immediately. Start by saving a small percentage. The key is to create a habit so small that it's impossible to fail. Because once you build momentum, it's easier to expand. And once you have momentum, everything changes. Suddenly, you don't have to fight with yourself to take action. It happens naturally. You don't have to rely on motivation. It becomes part of who you are. That's the power of habits. They take you beyond your feelings and make success inevitable. The biggest mistake people make is waiting to feel motivated before they take action. They wait for inspiration. They wait for the perfect time. But the truth is, action creates motivation, not the other way around. The more you take action, the more motivated you become. The more progress you make, the more driven you feel to keep going. And before you know it, success is no longer something you chase, it's something you attract. You don't need to feel like it. You don't need to be in the mood. You just need to build the habits that lead to success and stick to them no matter what. Because once something becomes a habit, it no longer requires willpower. It no longer depends on emotions. It just becomes part of your life. And when success becomes part of your life, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Start small, but never stop. This is the foundation of every great achievement in life. Most people think success comes from massive action, from making big dramatic changes overnight. They think they have to transform everything all at once to see results, but that's not how real progress works. Success isn't about how much you do in a single day, it's about how consistently you keep going. It's about the small, simple actions that, when repeated over time, create unstoppable momentum. The mistake people make is thinking that small actions don't matter. They think if they can't do something big right away, it's not worth doing at all. But that thinking keeps them stuck. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, the perfect plan before they start. And in waiting, they waste time, they never begin. They stay exactly where they are. But the truth is, the perfect moment will never come. The conditions will never be ideal. There will always be distractions, challenges, and reasons to delay. That's why you must start now, no matter how small. Even if it's just one step, even if it's just 5 minutes of effort, even if it's just one tiny change, start. Because small actions, when done consistently, lead to massive results. You don't have to take giant leaps to make progress. You just have to keep moving forward. Think of water carving through a rock. It doesn't happen all at once. It's not one big wave that changes everything. It's the constant flow, the persistence, the steady pressure over time that shapes the stone. That's exactly how success works. When you commit to small actions every day, they build upon each other. At first, the progress may seem invisible. You won't see immediate results. You'll feel like nothing is changing. But if you trust the process and keep going, the results will come. The problem is, most people give up too soon. They expect instant gratification. They want results now, and when they don't see immediate success, they quit. They abandon the process before they allow it to work. They don't realize that success is not about how fast you go, it's about how long you keep going. Look at the most successful people in the world. They didn't achieve greatness overnight. They didn't wake up one day and suddenly have everything they wanted. They started small. They built momentum. They stayed consistent. And over time, their small actions compounded into extraordinary results. Every world-class athlete started as a beginner. Every millionaire started with a single dollar. Every expert started as a novice. The difference between them and everyone else is that they didn't stop. They kept going even when it was hard, even when progress was slow, even when they didn't feel like it. The key is to make it easy to start. When people set goals, they often make them too big, too complicated, too overwhelming. They try to do too much too soon, and when it becomes difficult, they give up. But success isn't about doing everything at once, it's about doing something consistently. Instead of trying to read a whole book in one day, read just one page. Instead of trying to work out for an hour every day, start with 10 minutes. Instead of trying to save half your income, start by saving a small percentage. The goal is to build the habit first. Once the habit is in place, you can expand it. And here's the most important part: once you start, never stop. No matter how small the action is, no matter how little progress you think you're making, keep going. Because when you stop, you lose momentum. And momentum is the secret to long-term success. When you have momentum, everything feels easier. You don't have to push as hard. You don't have to force yourself. The habit carries you forward. But when you stop, even for a short time, you break that momentum, and starting again becomes harder. That's why the most important thing you can do is stay consistent. Even if you can only do a little, do something. Keep the habit alive. The mistake people make is thinking they have to be perfect. They think if they miss one day, if they fall off track, it's over. But success isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. If you miss a day, don't miss two. If you make a mistake, don't let it turn into a habit. Get back on track as quickly as possible. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. That's why the best thing you can do is commit to never stopping. No matter how slow the progress, no matter how small the action, just keep going. Because here's the truth: what starts as something small eventually turns into something big. The first time you do something new, it feels difficult. It feels unnatural. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Over time, it stops being something you have to force yourself to do and becomes part of who you are. That's the power of consistency. It transforms effort into habit, and habit into identity. You no longer have to think about it, you just do it. And that's when success becomes effortless. Most people struggle with success because they think it requires huge effort all the time. They think they need massive motivation, unlimited energy, and perfect discipline. But the truth is, success is not about working harder, it's about working smarter. And working smarter means starting small and never stopping. It means focusing on daily actions, not immediate results. It means trusting that small, consistent steps will lead to big outcomes, because they always do. When you plant a seed, you don't see results right away. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You simply water it, give it sunlight, and trust the process, and in time it grows. The same principle applies to your goals. Your job is to keep planting, to keep watering, to keep taking action even when you don't see results yet, because the results will come. You just have to stay the course. Most people never achieve their goals because they don't stick with them long enough. They get excited at the beginning, they take action for a while, but when progress is slow, they quit. They don't realize that success isn't immediate, it's the result of sustained effort over time. It's about doing the right things long enough to see the results. And if you can develop the patience to stick with it, you can achieve anything. Success isn't a single moment, it's a series of small moments repeated over and over again. It's not about one big breakthrough, it's about steady, consistent effort. It's about showing up, doing the work, and trusting the process. And when you do that, success is inevitable. So start small, but never stop. Take action today, no matter how small. Keep going, no matter how slow. Stay consistent, no matter how difficult. And if you do that, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Because small actions, when done consistently, lead to extraordinary results. Discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement. It's the glue that holds success together. Without discipline, dreams remain just that, dreams. Without discipline, plans never turn into reality. Everyone wants success, but few people are willing to do what it takes every single day. They want the results, but they don't want the responsibility. They want the rewards, but they don't want to put in the consistent effort. And that's where most people fall short. Because success isn't about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do consistently every single day, whether you feel like it or not. Discipline means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It means sticking to your commitments even when no one is watching. It means choosing long-term growth over short-term comfort. The problem is most people wait to feel motivated before they take action. They tell themselves, I'll start when I feel ready. I'll do it when I'm in the right mood. But that's a losing strategy, because motivation is unreliable. Motivation is like the wind, that comes and goes. Some days you wake up excited, ready to take on the world. The other days you wake up tired, inspired, and distracted. And if you only take action when you feel like it, you will never achieve consistency. Successful people don't wait for motivation. They rely on discipline. They train themselves to take action regardless of how they feel. They understand that feelings are temporary, but habits are permanent. So they build the habit of showing up, doing the work, and staying committed no matter what. And over time, that habit turns into automatic success.